Today's KayCee's ViewSpot features Dr. Florina Benoit, who's one of those who wears many hats. She can be called a counselor, resource person, academician, friend, actor, and so on. She was a Fulbright Scholar in 2003, 2004, and an Oxford DFID Fellow in 2009. Florina, thanks for appearing on KayCee's ViewSpot. Well, the first thing I would like to ask you is, how would you describe yourself?
It's a question that I really like to answer. And whenever people ask me, I always say that if you ask about me, it's my family that I always talk about.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest from a big family.
Okay.
6 children.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I have 4 older sisters and 1 brother.
Yeah.
And I think I was born 9 years after the one before me.
Oh.
And 18 years after the eldest one.
So you must be a very loved person.
Very loved.
Yeah.
And really had a very good life.
Yeah.
My parents were not doing very well when they got married, difficult situations. But I think by the time I came into their lives, it was very different and we had everything.
Yeah.
And so everybody wanted to give me what they did not have.
Okay.
You know, so I was, to be honest, spoiled.
Yeah.
But I think that is very important part of my life. It will always be my family.
Okay.
But the other side is that also my in-laws.
Yeah.
So I think when God was giving blessing, I was first on the line.
Yeah.
So not only am I blessed with my family, as in my parents, my siblings, but also my husband and his family.
It's so rare to find people appreciating their in-laws.
Yeah, and I think I really, because life is very difficult for a woman if the in-laws and the spouse doesn't turn out to be a good person.
Yeah.
I mean, Ashok is great, Blackstone is fantastic.
Yeah.
But his parents are the same. I mean, they love me, they treat me like a daughter, and his sisters also like that. They are an entire family.
Okay.
So I just feel like I have been really blessed when it comes to family and friends, of course.
Yeah.
So I would describe myself as a family person.
Yeah.
Somebody who's made because of that.
Thanks.
And 2 other contributions that I would like to give myself to is my church.
Yeah.
I think I got a lot from my church.
Yeah. Which church is this?
I used to go to the Freezers Church, Nungambakam.
Okay.
So from the prayer group and that. Although I don't go to church nowadays, but my foundation was definitely there.
Yeah.
And also from college, Salamaris.
Yeah.
And the NCC especially. I think I gained a lot of my confidence, what I am, leadership qualities, all of that from the national, being part of the National Cadet Corps.
Yeah. So what did you do your PhD in?
I did my PhD, I studied the refugees.
Okay.
And I was doing my master's, my social work in Salamaris.
Yeah.
I was looking for a topic that was exclusive.
Yeah.
And I found, in fact, my husband, that time my friend, he helped me find the topic refugees. And I worked on the Sri Lankan refugees in Trichy.
Yeah.
And ever since, my interest in the refugees stayed on.
Okay.
And so when I was doing wanting to do my PhD, I decided that I wanted to study refugees in detail. So I looked at the quality of life of refugees.
Yeah.
And I took about 5 camps and I worked on them. And I looked at it against
That's
security.
all in India?
Yes,
in Tamil Nadu?
Yes, in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
The camps in Tamil Nadu. Sri Lankan refugees, Tamil refugees in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
So that was my study.
Okay. So in that context, you must have taken the help of Offer. Right now, you are a resource person in Offer.
Yes, definitely. I think Offer has helped me a lot in many ways, especially with my studies, my PhD, because data collection is not easy to be done on the camps.
Yeah.
Offer has come in a lot of way, and also Offer has given me a lot of space. Offer is the organization for Elam refugee rehabilitation.
Okay.
But I currently work with.
Yeah.
With whom I work, and all of them are refugees. All the people in the office are refugees, except a few of us.
Yeah.
And they are an organization that empowers refugees.
Okay.
So being part of it, I feel like I have contributed, but also learned a lot.
A lot. Okay. Have you been to Sri Lanka during the wartime?
Yes, the first time I went to Sri Lanka was in 2003, and when Offer was planning to start their office in Sri Lanka, I was there before that. We did a study.
Okay.
My husband and myself, we went together. We worked together a lot. My husband, Ashok Gladstone Xavier.
Yeah.
We worked together a lot, and so the 2 of us went there and did start a study among the IDPs, internally displaced, in Trincomalee, Vavuniya and Mana.
Yeah.
And ever since I've been there, since 2003, and during the war I was there, 2009 May I was there in Trincomalee.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very difficult experience. In fact, I was not directly part of any, direct conflict.
Okay.
But whatever I heard itself troubled me a lot. Just listening to people, the way they were coming back, how they were being kept in the full-made place, those kind of things. It was very, very difficult to hear and to listen. It was a difficult experience for me.
It must have you must have really learned a lot in that time, about how people suffer. And
Yeah, I learned a lot, but also felt really sad and angry, I would say, because just normal, regular civilians being killed is not okay. I mean, for that matter, anybody being killed is not okay. I mean, now with this death penalty going on, I definitely want to go on record saying that I don't endorse death penalty. Capital punishment definitely is not okay. I mean, I'm very, very clear.
Oh, you're really brave to say going.
That's definitely, I feel very strongly about that. I think we do not have the right to take another person's life, even if the person has made a mistake, a big mistake, a grave one. I think it is not right. So, so when I see people be killed, it really hurts. It's not right. And when we are doing this for political reasons, it's worse. I mean, and there's no proper intention, no proper planning. It wasn't a very positive experience, I must say. It was very, very heartbreaking. And after that, I went back only twice to Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So it's very difficult.
To get back on a lighter note, you're one of the few women I've seen who's really traveled very widely. Can you tell the viewer what are the countries you've visited and why?
I think my first travel was to Nepal, and it was interesting. The first trip overseas across the border was by rickshaw, because when you cross the border, you don't fly. We took the bus, and then so I went across the rickshaw, and I told myself, wow, the first time I'm going abroad in a rickshaw. But that was the beginning of my many travels. Then I went to London. I was there for a few months. I worked with an organization called CAFD as a volunteer. But I think what really widened my horizons of travel is my Fulbright to the US. So after being there for a year, I traveled to Canada. And on my way back, I visited Europe. So did a few countries in Europe. And later on, Malaysia, Singapore, and recently Australia. But also I think I can proudly say that not only have I traveled abroad, but traveled well within India.
Oh wow!
I have not only been to, I think, Punjab and Kashmir. These are the only two states, but otherwise I've traveled all over the other states, spent time there and been there, done some work.
And what would you say these travels have done for you in terms of development as a human being?
Learning. I think it's amazing. When I was in Kenya, it was an introspection into our attitude as Indians. When I found a Kenyan being late, I was so annoyed, and I thought, this is how another person would be annoyed with me as an Indian is late. So I think every travel is a learning. Recently, I went to Pakistan, and Pakistan was such a fantastic experience. Pakistanis, I mean, we Indians, we tend to look at Pakistanis as the bad guys with the guns. But when I went there and when I met some of the people there, especially in Peshawar, I stopped one of the tea shops there, dabas there. And this guy asked me, where am I from? And when I said India, he was so happy and so hospitable. At the end of it, he wouldn't let me pay for what I ate and drank. He said, no, because you're my guest. I cannot. You are like my sister. So I think that's the kind of response you get. And travel is amazing. At home, they always tease me. At home, my friends, they say, I'm born with wheels under my feet. I think I get it from my mom. She loved traveling. She liked to see places. So I enjoy traveling. Tamil Nadu also, I've traveled to all the districts, seen a lot of places, temples. So I really like traveling.
It's very interesting, the way you describe that person in Peshawar being so nice to you. Sometimes I feel that these people-to-people interactions are so much, it's so needed, rather than all these politicians trying to have these peace talks and stuff. It should be more on a people-to-people level,
Definitely,
Don't you think so?
Absolutely, and I think it's interesting that you break down so many barriers when you actually meet them and talk to people, and misconceptions. You never think that this is what the other person, like if you're talking with a Sri Lankan context, a lot of this is true, I'm not making this up, that when we met some of the singular people, they said that we always thought that the tigers, they had the tails. The Tamils had tails. And you can't imagine, but that's what they thought. And some of the Tamils said that, and they have this long lion teeth. So that.
Oh, you mean they really thought that
the singular people really thought that the tigers had tails? So I mean, I'm not exaggerating. This is really what I heard people say.
As human beings.
Yes, as human beings. So and in fact, when one of the churches had organized to bring them together, the Tamils and the Singalars, a lot of the Singalars were trying to figure out whether these guys had tails. So it was, you can't, because you're so misinformed. So and the only thing that can break this is bringing people together. I think not only in this context, but anywhere. I mean, take for example families, when you have a problem.
Yeah.
When you don't talk, it becomes bigger. When you
Okay.
talk, come face to face, it's easier and better. So yeah.
Okay. I think you've also been to Cambodia?
Yes, I've been to Cambodia.
Yeah. Right. In what context was that?
Cambodia actually went there to do a small study on health areas.
Yeah.
And because I used to teach in Loyola, so
Yeah.
I also have one of my students who's a priest and who's working in Cambodia. So to do some kind of work to explore what can be done in Cambodia as far as health is. And it's another country where poverty is right there on your face.
Okay.
You really see people poor. And it's interesting to see Thailand on the other side, which is very different. Of course, Thailand also has poor people, but very different from the Cambodian context.
Yeah.
I think every travel, for that matter, not only Cambodia or Thailand or Sri Lanka or Pakistan, I think every travel has some journey to it.
Yes.
And I think that is what makes me a person I am. And this is more the developing countries. When you look at countries like Europe,
Yeah.
in Belgium, I've traveled Belgium, Sweden. Sweden is one of my favorite countries.
Yeah.
Belgium, I have very good family and friends there, and France, or it makes you aware of what is happening. It gives you a global context.
Okay.
And that is what the learning is about.
You're also a counselor. What are some of the issues that you have to tackle? I mean, if you want to talk about
I
it.
think from my counseling work, I have done a lot of marital counseling
Yeah.
for couples.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing that a lot of couples want to break away.
Okay.
And recently I was watching this talk show on Vijay TV, talking about husband and wife and the equality.
Yeah.
And it is sad to see that even women think that men are superior to them.
Okay.
And a lot of men think that women are inferior.
Okay.
I think that is what is bringing the breakdown of marriage. When people begin to mutually respect each other,
Yeah.
because with that respect comes love, and with love comes respect. And in my work, I see a lot of couples, and actually we work as a couple, my husband and myself, we work as a couple. And when people come to us with different problems, sometimes from a third person's perspective, it is nothing. You can actually talk it off, but then because of no conversation, no communication, it's just been so big. So one of the areas of counseling that I do is couple counseling, and sometimes also getting the families involved, because as husband and wife, children are also involved.
Yeah. Have you been successful in bringing families together? I mean, what's the
there
success
has been,
rate?
No, definitely. I mean, I can't really say success rate, but yes, there have been a lot of people who have, seen what went wrong. I think it's more than bringing people together; it is just helping them see
Okay.
the mistakes they've made, or the way they have, misunderstood the other person.
Yeah.
And I can definitely say that a lot of couples have come back together. But it's a process. It's not like, you come together, you shake hands and everything's fine. No, you have to keep working on it. Because
yes.
relationship is not something that you can
It's
just
a
let
two-way
it be.
thing.
Yeah, you have to keep on constantly.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of cases where we've brought them together. But yeah, there are people who just wouldn't want to and have moved away from each other also. Yeah.
What are the issues that interest you most?
Several. One of the recent, that comes to the top of my mind, refugee issue. Of course, I've been working on it for several years.
Yeah.
But another thing that my heart is in is women and children.
Okay.
And if I want to talk about children, it's the girl-child education.
Yeah.
Because I think girl children have to be educated.
Okay.
All children have to be educated, but in our context, especially in India, where girls are not allowed to go to school, I think it is mandatory for every child. I did a walk in 2008 from Trichy to Vedaranyam.
Okay.
It was a 240-kilometer distance.
Yeah.
We walked over 12 days.
Yeah.
And this walk I did just to emphasize the girl-child education. I did it with 3 other Belgian friends.
Yeah.
So I think girl-child education is one of the issues that I would like to highlight here.
Okay. Talking to you, the time has passed by so fast. I'm sure we can really talk on a whole lot of issues. I'm planning to have your husband, Dr. Gladstone Xavier, also,
yes.
and where both of y'all can interact, and I'm sure we can get more of your views. But before ending, I'd like to ask you, do you have anything to say to anyone on anything? That's how I usually end.
I want to thank my family, actually. I think if the world should know something, then it's just thank my family for what they have been. My parents, my sisters, the entire family, my husband and his family. I think that's really important. And I also want to tell the world that let's love and let's not make war, because that really hurts. And when people get killed, it's terrible. So let's think of more ways of communicating, talking, and thinking that we should love each other more than hating, and respect is very, very important. So that's what I'd like to say. And thanks for the opportunity. I really enjoyed doing this. Thanks.
Thank you, Florina. It's been a pleasure.